Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
Patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator.
Introducing Bark in the Belly Premium Dog Food. 100% of profits go to help dogs in need.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
It is the Wicked Boston Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I am your host, Cam Stuart. Zach Burke is behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week live on YouTube and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. Fully loaded show in the new Wicked Boston Sports Show era because we are talking about Brad Marchand's return to Boston tonight as a member of the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. We will hear about that. We will also have one of the biggest guests we've ever gotten on this show, World Series legend Bernie Carbo, joining the show to talk on the 50th anniversary of that unforgettable 75 World Series Game 6, in which he hit the clutch, game-tying 3-run homer that set up the Carlton Fisk home run that we all remember so well. Celtics and Knicks playing on Friday, rematch of last year's second round when the Celtics got knocked out, and already it's a chess match. From the Knicks side and from Tom Thibodeau joining Celtics practice, on the other side. We will have all that and more coming up on this episode of the Wicked Boston Show. It's not just Boston, it's Wicked Boston. And of course, the talk around Boston today, Brad Marchand, the former captain and one of the all-time great Bruins, returns to the city, returns to TD Garden, but this time as a member of the Florida Panthers. And to make matters worse, has a Stanley Cup ring now with the Florida Panthers. This is the game that a lot of Bruins fans have had circled on the calendar. And if you are expecting a hostile environment tonight for Brad Marchand, you're going to be mistaken. You're going to be disappointed. If you're expecting a hostile atmosphere tonight for Don Sweeney, you might get what you paid for there. They're going to do a tribute video. It'll be emotional, and the crowd will go nuts for Brad Marchand. There will be a massive pop for him. I don't think you'll hear any boos from the TD Garden crowd, even though a lot of them will have had a lot of boos at that point. 7:40 puck drop on ESPN. We should get 7 o'clock. What's wrong with 7 o'clock? What happened to 7 o'clock? Anyway, I don't think you're going to hear much jeering in the direction of Brad Marchand in this game. In fact, I think they will be overly praising Brad Marchand, if that makes sense. Like if he scores a goal and they announce it afterwards on the PA, there will be cheers that Brad Marchand scored a goal. There are some Bruins fans who I see on social media who gave up on the team and have become Panthers fans. Those are not real Bruins fans. They won't be in the building tonight, but you'll certainly still see a lot of 63 black and gold jerseys there. What bugs me about this whole Brad Marchand thing is that you can still be pissed off as a Bruins fan, the fact that Brad Marchand plays for the Panthers and was a huge reason why they won the Stanley Cup last year. In fact, if he wasn't there, they literally probably don't win the Stanley Cup. They do not win it. Like they were down 2-0 to Toronto, and they were in overtime of a game they were down by 2 goals twice. Like they had no business winning that game. Brad Marchand scored the OT winner and got them back into that series. And that became a whole different run for Florida because of what Brad Marchand could do. And obviously we saw what he did in the Stanley Cup final. So you can be mad about that. Like this team that we don't like ends up winning the cup because of Brad Marchand. But it's tough for me to be mad about the trade. Like revisionist history. And I love dumping on Don Sweeney as much as the next guy. But the deal that Brad was looking for in Boston was not going to benefit the Bruins too much. Not really, because they were a last place team and he was their second best forward. Okay. He was not going to do what he did with the Panthers while he was still with that basement dwelling Bruins team. So I don't expect there to be a lot of hostility towards Brad Marchand tonight, but going towards Don Sweeney, maybe, because to me, this game goes one of 2 ways. The first way is kind of how it went last year when the Panthers came to Boston after the Marchand trade, but Brad wasn't playing. You'll remember it was a really exciting game. It was back and forth. It was a 3-2 Bruins win. Nikita Zadorov had that big fight with Sam Bennett, and the crowd went nuts, and it was galvanizing for about 3 games, and that was it. So it could happen that way, and the Bruins really need a win here. But the other and more likely scenario is they lose. They lose something like 5-2. Brad Marchand scores 2 goals, and they're feeding him trying to score on the empty net to make it a hat trick in his return to Boston, which I know he would probably love to stick that in Don Sweeney's face, maybe not the rest of the fan base. And the fans get restless, and they start chanting "Fire Sweeney" again. And they're wondering why they're sitting here in $150 seats in the upper deck, the gallery gods, wondering why they're spending their money on that and $12 a beer just so they could see Brad Marchand, the guy that should still be on their team in their minds, scoring a couple goals against them for the team that they probably hate the most right now. Like there's always that hatred for Montreal. There's a pity kind of hatred for Toronto. But I think the team that Bruins fans hate the most right now is the Florida Panthers. So yeah, it's frustrating seeing Brad Marchand playing for that team, succeeding for that team. But lest we forget, this is a guy who didn't really force his way out of here. You know, he asked for a contract that the Bruins weren't willing to meet, and I'm glad the Bruins weren't willing to meet it, but he wasn't going crazy. He's going 3 years at what, 7.5? It's not enough. It's too much, but it's not crazy. It's not to the point where you're thinking, man, this guy does not want to be here anymore, and he's clearly showing it. That's not the case. And he is going to have his number 63 retired to the rafters in the next couple of years, whenever this 6-year contract actually ends for Brad Marchand and he retires. He will be in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and he will be all over the Bruins record books. He already is. He's 4th all time in goals scored for the Boston Bruins, 4th in games played, 5th in total points for a 100-year-old Original Six franchise that has had some of the very best players ever to play this sport wearing that sweater. Brad Marchand is among the very best. The very best. So is it frustrating to see him in another uniform? Yeah. Is it kind of Brad Marchand's fault? Kind of. But this is unlike anything we've seen really from the Bruins, you know, in terms of guys coming back. And it's really been a while since I can think of an example like this for guys coming back in Boston sports. You know, usually it's either the Zdeno Chara route and their time was just done and they come here and they get, you know, unbelievable applause because they're playing for somebody that they don't really care about. In that case, it was Washington, and then the New York Islanders actually might have been the first game where they had the crowd. Then there are guys that force their way out and they are hated for the rest of the time in Boston. Kyrie Irving, Johnny Damon, of course, going to the Yankees. That's the one place they really don't want to see you go. And Brad Marchand somewhere in between. He's this beloved player who didn't force his way out, but he's also playing for a team you really don't like. So I'm very fascinated to see how the response is at the Garden tonight. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What should it be like for Brad Marchand tonight? Let me know in the comment section. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We come at you live every weekday, noon Eastern time on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. It's kind of a must-win game for the Bruins too. They've lost 4 in a row, but so have the Panthers. So that'll be very interesting. But today is a day of remembrance, really. And we're going to take you down memory lane here on the Wicked Boston Show, because today is the 50th anniversary of one of the greatest baseball games ever played. And that's Game 6 of the 1975 World Series, and arguably the greatest World Series ever played in 1975. That was the Red Sox against the Reds. Coming up next on the Wicked Boston Show, we're going to take this short break, but when we come back, we're going to have a World Series legend on the program. One of the names that lives in Red Sox lore forever. The guy who hit the most important home run of the 1975 World Series. Bernie Carbo joins the show next.
It's hard to find supplements that work. No, thank you. Plant-based supplements made from the Earth's most powerful plants for your immune health, gut health, workouts, and more. Find out more at auraorganic.com.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
A house is a property, but we live in homes. Home sweet home. Homes where the heart is. We aim to deliver the best home buying and selling experience so you can spend less time real estating and more time living.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US. Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com.
Welcome back to the Wicked Boston Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. I'm your host, Cam Stewart, and I'm so excited because in just a minute here, we are going to have a World Series legend joining the program because today is a special day. October 21st, it is the 50th anniversary of one of the greatest baseball games ever played, Game 6 of the 1975 World Series. And of course, you remember it for maybe the most dramatic home run in Red Sox history to that point.
High ball on the left field line. 35,000 people on their feet, yelling at the ball, but that's not because Fisk, he's waving at the ball like a madman. He's going, get over, get over, get over. And then it hits a foul pole. Oh, he goes apeshit. And 35,000 fans, they charge the field,
I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the one that was more important than that. Carlton Fisk hits a home run in a tie game, but the Red Sox were down 3 runs in the 8th inning and facing elimination. So what we're actually talking about is the most dramatic home run of that series.
Boy, if you get a foul ball, you're really happy you did your job. Deep center field, way back, way back. We're tied up. Well, the fans have come alive again, Tony, Joe. They are alive.
And now let's talk to the man who brought the fans back to their feet and alive in Game 6 of that World Series. Red Sox legend Bernie Carbo joining the show. Bernie, when you see that video 50 years later, what are the emotions?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, it brings tears to my eyes. Can't imagine it's 50 years have gone by. But, the thing about it, I never thought I'd go to the plate because Sparky Anderson would go to Will McEnany. I'm a left-handed hitter. I thought they'd go to Will McEnany, bring him in. And when I went to the plate, I'm looking at bench. I said, you guys aren't changing the pitcher. He said, we're going right after you. And then on a pitch, I took it right out of the bench's glove. Worst swing in the history of baseball. Johnny Bench said it looked like a little leaguer trying to learn how to hit. And Pete Rose said it's the worst swing he ever saw in his life. And Rico's at first saying it looked like a pitcher trying to learn how to hit. And the next thing I know, the next pitch I hit it out of the ballpark and I'm running around second. And I want to hug Davey Concepcion because we played together in the minor leagues. I said, I can't hug him. So I yelled at Pete Rose, don't you wish you were there strong, Pete? And he's saying, this is the greatest game I ever played. Isn't this fun? But, yeah, it brings tears to my eyes because this happened a long time ago, and I can't imagine just in the playoffs the other day, my name was mentioned about being a clutch hitter and hitting the home run. I was like, wow, 50 years ago, they still remember. So it's good to have me be able to talk to you about the game, but appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, of course. No better time than this 50-year anniversary right here. Because I said it in the open, everybody remembers Carlton Fisk's home run, and that's obviously, an iconic picture. I certainly had it on my wall as a kid, even though it was before my time. And I got to think that whenever you see Carlton, he owes you a thank you just about every time. I mean, the Hall of Fame career for Carlton, sure, but like that iconic moment, it doesn't happen without you.
Well, I'll tell you what, Carlton Fisk is one of the greatest catchers I played with. I played with Johnny Bench, Manny Sanguian, and Carlton Fisk, of course. That home run, probably the greatest home run for the Red Sox in Red Sox history. I'm an unsung hero. I went to the Hall of Fame and I was taking my family in there, and they said, "Hey, Bernie Carbo, we got to show you where the unsung heroes are. We got your picture and everything up." And I said, "What do you mean? How long has it been there?" "Oh, it's only been there 3 years." Well, thank you. What nice of you to tell me. But I did write a book, Saving Bernie Carbo, and highlighting that home run, of course. But it was 3 days of rainouts, and we were practicing at Tate College, and I didn't go to any of the practices. So 3 days went by. I didn't pick up a bat. We didn't take batting practice. So it was kind of unusual. I was telling Juan Beniquez, get ready, you're going to hit. And it's just, one swing of the bat it's amazing how one swing of the bat and a home run could identify your whole career. And that is probably the greatest swing that I ever took in my whole life. And that home run was my gift to Mr. Yawkey and the Yawkey Association. The Red Sox, I loved the Red Sox. I loved playing at Fenway Park. And when Mr. Yawkey died, my career died. And Mr. Yawkey was the greatest owner that I ever played for. And I felt part of the uniform, and I loved the Red Sox. I met Mr. Yawkey. I gave him $20 in the clubhouse to get me a cheeseburger and fries. He said, Bernardo, okay. And I'm thinking, okay, he called me Bernardo. And Tommy, the clubhouse guy, goes on. He said, you know who you give that money to? I said, I don't know. I have no idea. He said, that's the owner. Red Sox. And Mr. Yawkey said, Bernardo, just win the game tonight. And he was a great guy. I was the first person to take him to arbitration for a $10,000 raise and loss. And I asked him in the clubhouse if I could have that money because my wife was pregnant. I needed to buy a house. 3 days later, there was a check of $10,000 and a $25,000 raise. Man, this Mr. Yawkey, the Red Sox fans, putting on that uniform, being at Fenway Park. When you leave there, baseball's over. And I knew my career was over. I came back and had a great year, hitting 286 with 3 pinch hits. Matter of fact, in 78, I started the season with a home run, ended it with a home run, had a great year. And then in May, I bought a house in Framingham. I get a knock on the door, and she says, I want to buy your house. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, it's written here that you just got traded to the Cleveland Indians. And I said, for who? She said, nothing. A bag of balls.
Jeez, lots changed since then in terms of finding out about that, huh?
So I get a telephone call 5 or 6 hours later from Zimmer, and he says, I got to tell you, we traded you. I said, no, it's in the paper, Sam. It's in the paper, man. And yeah, Cleveland Indians. Rocky Colavito was there. That was the first base coach. And when I played in Detroit, Rocky Colavito was one of my favorite ball players. Rocky Colavito.
That's the name. That's throwing it back right there. That's absolutely a trip down memory lane, which I'm happy we can do with you right now, talking about, your career and the 75 World Series and playing for the Red Sox. As someone who is a diehard fourth generation Red Sox fan, Bernie, it really warms my heart to hear you say that about, playing there versus playing anywhere else. Because you played in some good baseball cities as well, but Boston seems to be, on top of it all. And so when looking back at that World Series in particular, you guys were the underdogs. I don't know if you knew it or not, but you guys were the underdogs. And this was obviously this great series. They hadn't won in 57 years. There wasn't much talk of a curse at that point, but it had been a long time. And so what was the city like? What was the ballpark like, especially with the anticipation after all those rainouts?
Well, I'll tell you what, the funniest thing that happened to me, I didn't know about Boston at all. I didn't know about the curse or whatever. And I'm opening day in 1973, and they say to me, hey, Bernie, what does it feel like being Italian opening day and playing right field for the Red Sox leading off? And I'm thinking, what? Yeah, being Italian. I said, no, I'm Spanish. No, you're Italian.
Ends in a vowel. Got to be Italian.
Hey,
yeah.
I love being Italian in Boston, New York, and every place I went, and Joe Pepitone let me know in New York. He sat on my bench and he said, you're going in cement tonight. I'm tired of hearing about Bernie Carbo, the Italian. Bernie Carbo, the Italian. You're going in the river tonight. But after my career was over with, I get this card. There's 50 cards, and I look at it, and I go, wow, Italian Hall of Fame, Pennsylvania Hall of Fame, the Italians. I'm one of the 50 ball players. But I called the CEO. I would say, hey, this is Bernie Carbo. We put you in the Hall of Fame. You're Italian. We're so happy. I said, look, this is Bernie Carbo. I'm not Italian. He hangs up on me.
Didn't want to hear it.
But I tell you, it's a lot of good. I mean, we had our 50-year reunion in the Red Sox. Mr. Kennedy and the Red Sox did a great job having us all there, and it was really a lot of fun. And then I went to speak on behalf of Mr. Yawkey and the association, and it was a tremendous time getting together experience that, 50 years have gone by. We lost a few good ball players, but, just seeing the Red Sox and their organization, Mr. Kennedy highlighting, and, the Ted Williams Museum has been real good for me, and Dave McCarthy. Ted Williams taught me how to hit and taught me things that I didn't know at 27 years old. And he was a tremendous man. I love Ted Williams. And he worked with me in my career, and he did a tremendous thing showing me how to pick up the ball, how to relax, hit the ball in the air, and not hit it on the ground. And so being there with Ted Williams, Frank Mazzone, Johnny Pesky, just Bobby Dorr, and seeing the history of the game. And we had Tony Caligliero playing with us opening day in 1975.
Mm-hmm.
He hit a home run.
Yep.
First time up. I thought, my goodness, we're gonna really rock. And then he kind of at the middle of the year ended up leaving. But Tony Caligliero was a great ball player. The Red Sox had just an understanding that, I think we as a family, Red Sox, we were really put together in the sense that the city, they either loved you or they didn't love you. They knew the game and they knew what you did. If you played hard, you run into walls and you take out people in a double play, and you played hard and you played the game the way it was supposed to be played, they loved you. And I think I played the game the right way. Fundamentally, I played hard. I did the things I needed to do. And I put that uniform on. It made me a better ball player. I was really excited playing for the Red Sox. Every game at Fenway was just beautiful. I would sign autographs out in the parking lot on the corner until the lights went out. And if I struck out 4 times, I felt really comfortable and happy signing autographs for the Red Sox fans. And that's one of the things I really loved. They were people that knew the game, you know what I mean? If you did something, they cheer you and they loved you. And I felt that love throughout the Red Sox organization and the fans. I was sick. I really cried when Mr. Yawkey died, and I had to leave the Red Sox. I knew that going to Cleveland and being the rest of my career, if I didn't go back to Boston, I knew my career would be over with.
And you're still remembered and embraced by the Red Sox, 50 years later. And I gotta move up this question because the way you talk about the organization makes me want to ask this. You had your fair share of struggles towards the end of your career and after your career. How special does it make it feel? Does it make it feel more special that 50 years later you could go anywhere in Boston? If somebody hears Bernie Carbo's in there, you're going to have a crowd around you.
It makes you feel good. It really does. I kind of wished I lived in Boston, to tell you the truth. I love Boston. I would have loved to live there, but it just didn't work out. I ended up going to Florida to play in the old senior league, and we had the Red Sox, both Sox, with Bill Lee and a bunch of guys and everything like that. I ended up staying in Winter Haven, Florida. But about the end of my career and stayed there, when I came back after I hit the home run, the thing about hitting that home run, you dream about that home run your whole life. You dream about it. And it was exciting. I mean, you could see me running around the bases so fast and my hands were pumping up and everything. But nobody realizes that I was traded to the Milwaukee Brewers in May of 1976 after that home run. That broke my heart. I was supposed to report in 72 hours. I didn't report for 22 days. I was ready to quit baseball, and I wish I would have at that particular time. But hitting that home run, you realize you're just a piece of property. I mean, I get traded after that home run. I was one of the first. We had a great team. I think that team, we played the World Series without Jimmy Rice. That was the greatest team I ever played on. I played with the Big Red Machine in 1970, 71, 72, and 73. They were great, but we were better. And when Mr. Yawkey died and Hayward Sullivan and Buddy LaRue took over, they started ripping our team apart. And I was the first one to go. And then, of course, Bill Lee and Freddie Lynn and a few other, Carlton Fisk and whatever. We broke that team up in 76. It started. And I think if Mr. Yawkey would have stayed alive, he would have kept us together. And we would have probably been even better the next year and the next year, because we had tremendous, tremendous players and young players that were great players like Freddie Lynn and Jimmy Rice and Dwight Evans. And then, of course, we had good pitching. So I thought that was the best team I ever played on.
And people kind of forget it now. Like, you guys were in the race until the last couple of weeks of the season in 74. And obviously people remember that in 78, some of those young guys more coming of age, and that's another loaded Red Sox team. So you think about that in between that 76, that could have been kind of continuing the run there. And suddenly all we have to look back on for the pennants is 1975. And so, you talk about, you felt like you had a better team than Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's get to the big red machine. Obviously they win the World Series again the next year. But talk about kind of the buildup to that World Series, that 75 season. You said you knew pretty early on that this was going to be a heck of a team. When did you think the city kind of bought in and said this could be the year?
I think when we picked up two rookies, Jimmy Rice and Freddie Lynn. I knew then when they started playing baseball and watching them in spring training and opening day and watching their careers, I knew that we were going to be strong with Yaz and Carlton and Dwight and those boys and the pitching and everything. I knew then that we had a great team. Those young boys, and Carl Shimsky, of course, you can't ever forget him, a Hall of Famer. So I thought right there from spring training, when we had those two young kids and watching our pitching staff, I thought we had a great chance and a great opportunity to be great forever, as long as those kids stayed strong. And you have to kind of realize that when Jimmy Rice broke his hand, that's like, I put in my book, I said, losing Jimmy Rice was like losing Tony Perez.
Yeah.
He said, it's like losing Johnny Bench. I said, they're both Hall of Famers, my man. They're both Hall of Famers. But Tony Perez, you take him out of the lineup, and, he's a RBI king, played for Cincinnati. He came to Boston to play too. But there's two things you don't forget, there's a game that you got a man on first, Pete Rose is on first, and I'm playing left field, there's one out. Bench hits the ball to Burleson, he flips it over to Denny Doyle. I'm coming running in, double play, we're going to be out of the game. We don't turn the double play. He throws the ball up in the stands. We walk somebody. Then he throws the blooper pitch. He throws the blooper pitch to Tony Perez, and he hits it 400 some feet. And you go, oh, my goodness. You look at it, one inning or one pitch or one play that can take that World Series from you. And I played in the World Series in 1970 against the Baltimore Orioles when they had 5 20-game winners. And Brooks Robinson was down there being like a vacuum cleaner. And we lost games 5 in a row. And after the last game, I made the last out as a pinch hitter. And I'm sitting in the clubhouse, and I'm looking at Tony Perez. I said, when's the next game? When's the next game? I'm a rookie, When's the next game? I'm rookie of the year, hit 310, 20 home. When's the next game? Tony looks at me, in spring training, buddy. Spring training. I'm like, this is over? So the second World Series, you kind of, the excitement, you know what it's about. And, every play, every instant, everything you're doing has to be perfect to win the game and do the things you need to do. The routine plays, you don't lose on a blooper pitch. You got to turn the double play. And then, you get yourself in trouble. I'm in the third game. I'm in Cincinnati. I'm in the clubhouse, and I'm talking to Pete Rose and all the players. I know you guys. I need to play against you guys. I beat your butts, I'm talking some trash and telling them, if I was in the lineup, you'd be in trouble. And they're laughing. We're talking. And the next thing, it's in the newspaper. So Johnson calls me in the office and says, hey, look, we don't need any trouble. And I said, what do you mean trouble? He said, did you read the paper this morning? I said, no. He said, well, you're talking about being in the lineup. I said, well, that might be a good idea.
Now that you say it, now that you mention it, right? That is good. That is good. I do have to get you, since you mentioned Ted Williams earlier and the tips that he taught you. Do you have a good Ted Williams story for us?
Oh my goodness, yes. 1973, I get some golf clubs, right? And they're left-handed clubs, and I go play golf, and I have to learn how to hit a ball on a stick and use every club, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done. So I knew I'd get in underneath the skin a little bit because he said the hardest thing to do is hit a baseball being pitched. And I said to him, they were always sitting, Bobby Dorr and him always sitting together. So I walked over and I said, hey, Ted, I got some left-handed clubs for you to play golf because this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. he had a lot of F-bombs. He picked up those clubs and threw them across the clubhouse, and they all splattered all over, and I just got a big laugh at it. But the first thing Ted Williams, when I was out in right field, he came up to me. He says, you're Bernie Carbo. He said, what do you look for when you're hitting? I said, well, I look fastball and react to curveball. And he said, well, that's why you hit 150. I hit 400. And he showed me how his grip, how loose his hands were, And I said, you really hold the bat like that? He said, what did I tell you? That's why you hit 150. You got to listen to me. So for 3 weeks, it was a lot of fun, but it was really kind of scary too, because when he asked the question, you better be right. The first thing he says, why do you pop up? And I'm going, oh, I know, man. Jeez. How do you hit? I said, I don't have an idea. So finding out, you better learn how you hit. And the other thing, the reason you pop up is because you let the ball get too deep. And so the questions he was asking, and when he was get really loud and shoot some F-bombs at me, I was like, maybe I just better be quiet and let him tell me what to do, how to see the ball, make the zone smaller, relax your upper body, hit the ball up in the air, swing up. And I'll tell you what, 70 years ago, what he was teaching as hitting, they're doing it today. They're doing everything he taught 70 years ago. Ted Williams was perfect. That ball coming down, you can hit up at the ball. Your back shoulder's going to go down. Your front shoulder's going up. You're going to hit the ball up in the air. And on the high pitch, you're going to hit that line drive, and you're going to hit the ball hard. Hit the ball hard, Bernie, and really have confidence in your ability. So he was ahead of his time. And I love Ted Williams, believe me. He was one of my favorite people. And Bobby Dorr was too. But the old guys were really good guys. Johnny Pesky, Frank Mazzone. They taught you about baseball.
And that's the Red Sox keeping it in the family, right? Keeping these guys, bringing them back and helping out the next generation.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was a lot. And Dom DiMaggio, when I was in spring training, Dom DiMaggio was Joe DiMaggio's brother. He would drive up with his Cadillac, park it, and come over to right field and always said hello to me. Always. And I was like, oh, man, this is really cool. Dom DiMaggio.
Yeah.
Dang, I was like, wow. I was fun, man. It was fun. It was an organization that had a lot of great ball players, and they still today. I mean, I follow the Red Sox today.
That was my next question. How much do you follow them today?
I followed them during the times that Joe Torre. I told Joe Torre, you were up 3 games, and you were in Boston, and you thought you could go home and win win the next one. I said, you made a mistake. You didn't want to win that one in Boston. And they went there and beat you and took it. The opportunity in the World Series, you play every inning and every game as it's the 7th game of the World Series. And that's when they cowboyed up, man. They cowboyed up and took the Yankees and won the World Series. That was fantastic. They were great ball players, and they were down, and they came back. That was very exciting to watch.
Last question for you. Looking back on the 50th anniversary of the 75 World Series, you've played in a couple. You've seen a lot of baseball over your lifetime, Bernie. Is 1975 the greatest World Series ever played?
Yes. And you want to know why?
Yeah.
Because every player on that Cincinnati team, no matter if they lost, Sparky Anderson couldn't understand why all the players were saying, this is the greatest game we've ever played, Sparky. Greatest game ever. And Sparky would go, we lost the game. We lost the game. And Pete Rose would say, they think that they won 7th game of the World Series. We're going to win tomorrow. So that, to me, when you look at a team, it knew there was going to be a game 7. And we thought game 6, we won the World Series. But it was the greatest game ever played because the opposing players were talking. We were talking. This is the greatest. I mean, Dwight Evans making a catch and the plays that were being made and excitement and 3 days of rain. And all of a sudden now we're in the greatest game ever played. And when the other team says we lost, but this is the greatest game I've ever played. That's one of the things Pete Rose said to me. This is the greatest game, Bernie. Aren't you having fun? That's what the game is. Having fun. I teach kids, Have fun. Play the game. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. That was probably the most fun I've ever had in my whole life playing that game.
Wow. Like taking a moment too, this is game 6 of the World Series. Does it catch you off guard when Pete Rose is saying that as you're rounding the bases? Like, boy, this is a ton of fun. We're 5 outs away from winning the World Series and you just tied the game, but boy, is this fun.
Yeah, and that's what he was yelling, man. I told him, don't you wish you saw him? He said, Bernie, this is the greatest game I ever played. And even Carlton Fisk, when he hit the home run, God, this is the greatest game's ever been played. Who would ever thought that they would have voted this game 6 the greatest game ever played? I would have never thought that. But we knew as professionals and players, we were in one heck of a game. One heck of a game. It was a beautiful game. It would have been nice, game 7. We lost the World Series. I would have preferred that would have been game 7.
Sure. Yeah. I think we're right there with you.
When people say, what do you think about that game? Well, we lost game 7. That hurt, losing game 7. But what hurt more is when I was traded in May. And I was Mr. York. I know if Mr. York would have been alive, he would have appreciated my home run enough to keep me in Boston the rest of my career.
It's certainly different playing here.
It is, man. It's fun. When you leave there, you lose life. The fans, the uniform, Mr. Yawkey, the Kennedys right now are doing a great job with what they're doing with the Red Sox. I thought that they're putting a good program out there, and they're great people. I love all the Red Sox. It's family, and it's been really nice to be able to come back after 50 years. It's the last hurrah for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm 78. It's the last hurrah, and I know probably it'll be a long time before I get back to Boston. But I tell you, Mr. Ted Williams' organization, Dave McCarthy, will have me back at spring training. Hopefully we'll go to Boston again. Dave McCarthy is one who runs the whole organization. Pam and people that run the organization for the retired ball players and things, they do a good job for us. So I'm happy for the Red Sox. I would like to see them beat the Yankees. I thought there were a couple plays there that kind of turned it around, but it's the way baseball is being played.
Mm-hmm. It is. And we're so glad that you got to be up there, 50th anniversary. Can't wait to see you at some of the other Red Sox events as well. He was there. He was right in the middle of it. This great World Series with the great storylines and Louis Tiant and his dad and all these Hall of Famers. Bernie Carbo is right in the middle of it with one of the most clutch home runs in Red Sox history. Bernie, thanks so much for joining us on the Wicked Boston Show. Really appreciate you taking the time today on this special anniversary.
Anytime you want me, son. Anytime. I love to talk baseball, and you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work, and I love the love you have for the Red Sox. Who was your greatest ball player?
My greatest, like ever, or that I watched?
You watched.
For me, Bernie, it's got to be Pedro.
Oh,
it's got to be Pedro in that Red Sox uniform. I don't know if a pitcher had a better peak than Pedro. Like that, with the way he was doing it, the time he was doing it. Tough to beat that one. Ortiz is right up there, though. Of course, the clutch factor, being a clutch player yourself, David Ortiz would have to be right up there, too. But those would be my top 2 right there.
Well, they're my top 2, too. They're both great people, great ball players, clutch players, great pitching, fantastic. And I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate it very much. Thanks a lot.
Anytime. There he goes. Bernie Carbo, World Series legend for the Boston Red Sox, taking more time than I had asked for because it was so great. Thanks so much to Bernie and remembering that great 1975 World Series 50 years ago today. You got memories from it? Let me know in the comment section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, get in that comment section and thank Bernie Carbo, man. That is Red Sox to the core. And then like, subscribe, help us on the path to building this channel here on the Wicked Boston Show. Coming up next, we're going to have some more talk about that 75 World Series and some more about this Celtics-Knicks rivalry that's budding once again and how this has become a chess match. That's coming up next on the Wicked Boston Show.
Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown scorer to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code CAMSHOW. That's code CAMSHOW to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
Dive into adventure with scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com.
It's the Restore Clarity Focus Patch, my little secret weapon for staying sharp, focused, and on task. Each box comes with simple instructions inside, so you always know exactly how to apply it. Each patch lasts for 3 days. I love that I can wear it all day.
This is what $500,000 in a duffel bag looks like. Actually not real. That's because it's actually prop money. It looks realistic from a distance, but up close you can see it says for motion picture purposes. Visit propmoney.com today to get your money seen or money shot right with Prop Money Inc.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Golf Partner.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
Experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again.
BosleyMD.com.
Welcome back to the Wicked Boston Show with Cam Stewart here on the Rogue Media Sports Network. I am your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke is behind the glass, keeping us on the air 5 days a week, live on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. It's not just Boston. It is Wicked Boston here on the Rogue Media Network. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm probably going to push the Celtics stuff till tomorrow. When they open their season against Philadelphia. We'll talk a little bit about Celtics Knicks and kind of the chess match going on back and forth there. But I got to say, that was phenomenal, that conversation we just had with Bernie Carbo. And as a Red Sox fan and a history nerd and an appreciator of the underappreciated, that was perfect, man. That was perfect. 50 years to the day since Game 6 of that 1975 World Series. That is now mythical lore, right? Everybody knows the Carlton Fisk home run, waving it fair, Pat Darcy, all that great stuff, 12th inning. But what you don't remember is how close the Red Sox were to death, okay? They were talking about the 8th inning, and they're down by 3 runs against the Big Red Machine. Like, this thing was over. They were down 3-1. They had battled back to send it back to Boston, and this thing was done. Bernie Carbo barely got in a sniff in the series. And he talked about it in there. I should have asked about it some more because it is fascinating to watch when you watch the actual at-bat. The pitch before, he's talking about the Little League swing. It's like the worst swing you'll ever see on a ball field. But it's perfect because he stays alive. It's like this little like check, then half check, just nibbles one off to the side, foul ball to stay alive. And then the next pitch is the sweetest swing you'll ever see. Fastball right there, bang, sweet spot, dead center, deepest part of the park, home run. Red Sox tie the ball game. Like, I can't tell you how unexpected that was. Like, that's why the Red Sox thought they had won Game 7 of the World Series. I love Bernie saying that. I wish that was Game 7. I wish that was it. But the fact that they were dead and buried in the 8th inning of that game, and one of the most unlikely heroes on that team is Bernie Carbo, and he came through, and I'm telling you, man, I mean, I'm not even 30 yet. You know, you talk to even people my age that are big Red Sox fans, they hear the name Bernie Carbo, they know exactly what you're talking about. They know what play you're talking about. For a guy who had a pretty dang good career for himself, that was just awesome to have that discussion with Bernie. By the way, Bernie Carbo is not, but that home run somehow is inducted into the Red Sox Hall of Fame. I didn't know you could do that, but you can. And it just goes to highlight once again that 1975 World Series is the best ever played. And some would say, and some have said, literally, some have said, it was the series that saved baseball. You know, baseball was in kind of a weird spot. You'd had some labor disputes and free agency for the first time ever. Like that put a bit of a stain on baseball. It's weird to think about now, but, you know, just free agency in general did a lot to the image of baseball at the time. And you look after that series, you look at the most watched World Series, the highest TV ratings a World Series has ever had, that it's 77, 78, 80. Like, it's all right after this great series was played. Like, this just had it all. It had two historic franchises, two franchises who had not won a World Series in a long time. You know, everyone remembers the Red Sox had not won since 1918, but the Cincinnati Reds had not won since 1940. And they were the big red machine. You know, this was supposed to be the beginning of a dynasty, which it kind of was. It was back-to-back World Series titles. They had won 108 games. The Red Sox were certainly no slouches themselves. And it ended up becoming just an absolute barn burner for 7 games with so many storylines in this thing, right? The 2 long waits. You know, this Red Sox team led by Louis Tiant, whose dad would see him pitch in the major leagues for the first time, defected from Cuba to go and see him pitch in the World Series. And it was this huge deal. We talked about it on the show with my dad last year after Louis Tiant died. You know, Bernie had talked about the young guys, Jim Rice and Fred Lynn. And of course, just the star-studded nature of the Reds. All these guys were in their prime, right? Bench, Rose, Perez, Joe Morgan, who ends up being the MVP of that series. You've got controversy with Armbrister running into Carlton Fisk. You've got unlikely heroes like Bernie Carbo. And you've got one of the great games ever played in Game 6. And then a pretty damn good Game 7 as well. A pretty damn good Game 7 where a lot of people, just Red Sox fans, forget kind of how it happened. But that was a tie game in the 9th inning. Like, they were an out away from putting themselves in a walk-off scenario. Joe Morgan gets the single, and the Reds end up taking the 4-3 lead, and the lead for good. There was 5 of the 7 games were 1-run ball games, and only one of them lasted more than 3 hours and 3 minutes, by the way. And it was the 12-inning game that went 4 hours. If you ask Red Sox fans of that generation, certainly my dad, he would have been a senior in high school. They can all tell you where they were when that happened. It just didn't win the damn thing. And I'll leave it with kind of what Pete Rose said in a documentary years ago about that series, and specifically that Game 6. And that was, it had been postponed for 3 days. You know, it had been 5 days in between games. They're supposed to play on the 18th. They didn't play until the 21st. And he said it kind of took on this life of its own at that point. It became like a Super Bowl in that you have all this build up to it. Everybody knew what was happening. Everybody knew the scenario. Everybody knew the players. Everybody knew the managers. Everybody knew what was at stake and how long it had been for either of these two teams. And it's just something we don't get in baseball anymore. We don't get that kind of anticipation. We had a Game 7 of the ALCS last night for a team that hadn't been to the World Series in 32 years versus a team that had literally never been, still has never been. And it didn't have that kind of buzz. And this next series won't. It's the Dodgers, a team that everybody wants to lose, against a team that's from Canada. If that's fair or not, I don't know. But it's not going to have that kind of buzz. And now we're in an era where we look and it's the lowest rated World Series of all time, year after year. The bottom 5 of the list, whereas this one kicked off the top 5 of the list. It won't be equaled. I wish the Red Sox had won it, but it was before my time and it made for a nice build-up for when they actually did win it. But so thankful to Bernie Carbo, one of the heroes of that series, coming in to join us. Thank you to him for getting that set up and then doing that with us. That was fantastic stuff, and it's must-see TV for those of you who are Red Sox nerds from years gone by. And I think I did say Joe Morgan was the World Series MVP. That's not true. It was Pete Rose. I think I said that earlier. It was Pete Rose that was actually the MVP of that World Series. And for me, it's the greatest ever played. ESPN ranked it at number 2 behind 91. But I think when you add the star power to this one's better. This one's better. What is the best World Series in your opinion? We've got a new one coming up this week. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I think that's tomorrow, isn't it? Let me know in the comment section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think about Brad Marchand's return, about Bernie Carbo, about the 1975 World Series. Let me know in the comment section. Like and subscribe. It's completely free. It helps me keep my job. And then join us tomorrow live on YouTube at noon Eastern time, and then wherever you get your podcasts as well, for another edition of the Wicked Boston Show.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels. Visit OpenGOAAALUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farm, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.